Would you please stand if you can for the Pledge of Allegiance? Item 4.01, may I have a motion to approve our minutes from the November 1st meeting? It would have to be somebody who was here.
So moved.
And may I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Ewers. So moved by Mr. Miller and seconded by Ms. Ewers. All in favor who are here?
Aye.
Abstention.
We have 3 ayes and 2 abstentions.
Did you say 0.
4.01.
Okay.
Did I miss something?
What about 3.02?
Yeah, I think it was 3
Gotta approve the agenda.
3.02.
Oh, I'm sorry. May I have a motion to approve, to start tonight's meeting?
So moved.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Moved by Ms. Ewers and seconded by Ms. Trejo. All in favor?
Aye.
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 We can proceed. Skipping to 501. Motion, can there be a motion to approve to the consent agenda?
So moved.
Moved by Ms. Trejo, seconded by Mr. Lemon. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Item passes. Item 601, Dr. Driscoll.
Thank you, Madam President, members of the board. Tonight I have a few items to celebrate. The National Association of School Psychologists designated November 6th through 10th to be the National School Psychology Week with the theme, Let's Grow Together. In honor of this week, we would like to highlight our 20 school psychologists and our 2 school psychology interns. School psychologists partner with families, teachers, school administrators, and other professionals to create safe, healthy, and supportive learning environments that strengthen the connections between home, school, and the community. We are grateful for our TD3 school psychologists and appreciate all that they do. Our very own TD3 Governing Board has been selected as the 2023 Arizona School Board Association Lou Ella Klein's Excellence in Governance Award recipient, the association's highest honor for our governing board.
Woohoo!
This award celebrates boards that consistently exhibit outstanding leadership in education. It signifies their dedication, innovative spirit, and unwavering commitment to the betterment of our students and community. The governing board will be presented with their award at the ASBA ASA Annual Conference on Thursday, December 7th. Dr. Jen Ostrom, TD3's Assistant Director of Social, Behavioral, and Health Services, was recently named Administrator of the Year by the Arizona chapter of the National Association of Psychologists. Dr. Ostrom is considered by school psychology leaders as an exemplar of best practice, and many aspire to implement the work that she has made standard in our district. Congratulations on this incredible accomplishment, Dr. Ostrom. Thank you for all you do for our TD3 students and staff. We are excited to kick off enrollment for the 2024-2025 school year with our upcoming open house opportunities for our K-8 and middle school academy options, as well as our open house for Meyer Montessori. Each event will take place between 5:30 and 7 p.m. 5:30 through 7 p.m. and will give families the opportunity to tour the school campus, meet teachers, learn about curriculum, and more. Applications for the academy options in Meyer Montessori are now open on each of the school's websites. We'll also be hosting an informational night for families interested in an Aspire Academy at Arredondo program on Monday, December 4th, between 5:30 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. Comprehensive middle school and elementary school open houses will take place in January. Personal tours are also offered throughout the year, and families who cannot make these events are encouraged to schedule a tour. We would also like to take this opportunity to thank our incredible partners who are making donations to TD3, specifically Molina Healthcare, community member Ben Rose, the City of Tempe, and Read On Arizona for their donations totaling more than $24,000 for our students and staff. And that concludes my Celebrate Excellence for this week.
Thank you very much, Dr. Driscoll. We have no blue cards, so we're going to skip 701. So moving on to 801, there's a discussion, consideration, and possible approval of a memorandum of understanding between Honeywell and Tempe Elementary School District. Dr. Driscoll, can you give us some background on this?
This has been an endeavor of love. With this MOU, we're partnering with Honeywell, and what they're wanting to do is come in our middle schools and 2 of our elementary schools to really promote STEM education and career pathways for our students. It is a great opportunity for us, and it really comes at no cost to us. They're providing their expertise and also offering professional development opportunities for our teachers as well. So we're excited that they were interested in us to do this. They only do this partnership with one other district in the state. And so we would be the second that they have actually did this partnership with.
It's amazing. Any questions or comments from the board? If not, can I have a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the MOU between Honeywell and Tempe Elementary School District Number 3 as recommended.
Moved by Ms. Trejo and seconded by Mr. Lemon. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Item passes unanimously. Congratulations, you got your labor of love. Item 802, second review and adoption of proposed changes to governing board policy BCB, board member conflict of interest. Just so Ms. Trejo and Mr. Lemon know, we went through all the first reads and we didn't have any questions that I recall needing to be addressed. So if you do, please let me know. Sure. Ms. Trejo.
Was this a
Yeah.
legislative update?
Yes, every single one of these came from the legislative updates.
Okay, thank you.
So since this is second read, I'll need a motion for this.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the proposed changes to governing board policy BCB, board member conflict of interest as recommended.
In a second. Second. Moved by Ms. Trejo, seconded by Mr. Lemon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Item passes unanimously. Item 803, the second review and adoption of proposed changes to governing board policy BDA, board organizational meeting. And this is the one that just allows us to hold the organizational meeting within the month of January, not on a specific date. So if there's no questions, can I have a motion?
Madam President, I move adoption of the governing board policy BDA, board organization.
A second.
I'll second.
Moved by Mr. Lemon and seconded by Ms. Trejo. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Item passes unanimously. Item 804, second review and adoption of proposed changes to governing board policy BE, school board meetings. This is the one, I believe, that was about having sufficient seating. Yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the proposed changes to governing board policy BE, school board meetings as recommended.
A second.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Trejo, seconded by Mr. Lemon. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Item passes unanimously. Item 805, second review and adoption of proposed changes to governing board policy BEDA, notification of board meetings. May I have a motion if there's no questions?
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the proposed changes to governing board policy BEDA, notification of board meetings as recommended.
A second.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Trejo, seconded by Mr. Lemon. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Item passes unanimously. Item 806, second review and adoption of proposed changes to governing board policy BEDB, agenda.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt the proposed changes to governing board policy BEDB, agenda as recommended.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Trejo, seconded by Mr. Lemon. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Item passes unanimously. Okay, that's the end of our second reviews, and this is our last round of first reads. Item 807, discussion and first review of proposed changes to governing board policy CBI, evaluation of superintendent. Are there any questions about this? Ms. Trejo?
It just looks like it was revised with ASBA and ASA, Superintendent Association, collaborated, and developed a piloted evaluation tool. So it looks like this is more of an internal option, right?
Yes, it is, with timelines. Okay. Item 808, discussion and first review of proposed changes to governing board policy EBC emergencies. And this is about emergency response plans. Any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. 809, discussion and first review of proposed changes to governing board policy IHA basic instructional program. This one's specific to dyslexia training. Mr. Lemon.
Madam President, we're supposed to add a literacy coach or a literacy specialist. I thought we had those positions.
This just puts them on the list as prefer that they can actually do dyslexia, if my memory serves me correct. So they can do the instruction, so it adds them as a list of qualified providers. So not add them as an employee, but add their title to the list.
Their
they can do
skill
it.
set.
Yep.
Yeah, thank you.
Ms. Trejo.
Thank you, Madam President. I think Dr. Driscoll just kind of answered it. I was confused that it meant everyone has to have one, and I wasn't sure if the legislature was going to get funding for that. So thank you.
Okay, no other questions. Let's move to 810, discussion and review of policy. Oh, excuse me. This is the one that we asked to add to the meeting, correct? Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
So discussion and review of policy IJOC school volunteers. If Dr. Driscoll doesn't mind, I'll just brief the board really quickly. This is the one that has been recently brought up about having volunteers fingerprinted to be able to accompany schools on field trips, specific to the volunteers who are parents of school children. So we wanted to have that on the agenda to have a conversation. So I'll open it up for comments or questions. Ms. Trejo.
Thank you, Madam President, and thank you for putting this on the agenda to further explore. I know as a person who works in the school district, if you are going to be with students in the classroom, whether or not you're a certified teacher, you're required to have an IVP card, clearance card, correct, Dr. Driscoll?
Yes, and bus drivers as well.
And bus drivers, okay. So I know that we definitely want more parents involved and volunteers, and that this definitely creates some barriers for them. But my understanding that the last time we had this discussion is that we are legally required to have that if they will be supervising children on their own without someone with an IVP card, correct?
Yes, there's legal requirements for having certificated or people to have the IVP. So like bus drivers, because they're traveling along with students, teachers. Where this gets a little murky, I shouldn't say murky, but a little tricky is volunteer comes in the classroom, they're under the supervision of somebody that has a fingerprint card. So that's not an issue. When volunteer walks out of that classroom and is walking through the halls, they're not under the supervision unless a staff member that has a card walks them through the office. Same thing comes on field trips. So the field trip I always like to bring up is you go to the Phoenix Zoo. You go to the Phoenix Zoo, yes, you're supervised on a bus with a certificated bus driver and teachers. You get to the zoo, you walk off, and you take your group. Now you're not under the supervision of that, and that's where the fingerprint card, it's an extra protection that we've done our due diligence to make sure that there's nothing out there that we know of. It doesn't prevent that something might happen, but it's another precaution. And so I always like to teeter with that. We don't ask for parents to have a fingerprint card when they're coming to a school event. But they're technically never really alone with other students at that. So I get it both ways. I've had parents call me on both sides, like I want to participate in my school and go on this, but I don't have a fingerprint card. We have some of our own employees who wanted to go on their kids' field trips and didn't have a fingerprint card and had to go out and get it. I think for the district, we need to provide options and opportunities more for our families to be able to get fingerprinted and get that. And so in this conversation, I would say I would be willing to provide the board with ways that we as a district can provide more opportunities for families who want to participate in field trips to get the fingerprint, because sometimes that's a barrier. We can provide ways for them to have access to be able to do their fingerprinting and stuff like that.
Thank you, Dr. Driscoll. And just to elaborate on that, does that mean financial support? Because I know it costs money. Is there any way we could have them come to the school site when they're already there, like open house or parent-teacher night, things like that?
Yeah, so we've had in the past, we've had rolling where we had our employees go out to different schools during open houses and do fingerprinting. What I would say is that we, as the district, if you want us to, we would provide you with, like, we will do this on open house night. We will have so many staff and rotate it through so parents can have that opportunity to get fingerprinted. We would advertise it and do a more robust to say, hey, if you want to go on field trips with your students, but you need fingerprints, the district has these options for you to do. And if there's a cost associated with it, we would bring it back to the board and say, hey, every fingerprint that we do has this cost associated with it. And is this something that you want us to budget for in the future, in our future budgeting, so that we have that line? We could give you examples of how many parents that we've done in the past who have come and got fingerprinted. So you could have that as a baseline. So as you talk about a budgetary item, we can give you an estimate to do that. But I think for our families, it is a compromise to do, is to have us provide them with options to be able to get fingerprinted, and then for our schools to do, I don't want to say a better job, but for us as a district do a better job of promoting that we have this service available and that you need this to go on field trips because of we have this standard. And I don't think parents, when I talk to parents and that are upset and I explain that to them, they go, oh, that kind of makes sense. And I told a parent, I'm a hypocrite. When I was a principal, in the district I was in, we let parents just go on field trips. They didn't have to have fingerprint cards. But now that I think about it, that's kind of not, we probably violated the law because we had people without fingerprint cards along with students. It's different than being in a classroom, and that's what I would say is, like, in a classroom, you have that person there. But on our field trips and in our places that we have unsupervised adults, we really have that. If we're going to provide safe schools, we need that layer of, I would say, a layer of due diligence as a district that we've done that, or at least require that. And we have that for our vendors too. So vendors that come on our campuses, they have to have fingerprint clearance cards. They can't just walk on our campus. So any vendor that does services on ours, they have to do that as well.
Thank you.
Mr. Lemon?
Thank you, Madam President. I think this is wonderful. I'll just relate my experience last year. I had a couple guests staying at my house, and we decided to go to the museum, the music museum. And it was the same day a couple of our classrooms attended, and of course they were there with the teachers. But I was also there. I've never been fingerprinted. Well, not recently anyway. And one of the students got ill, and the rest, while they're waiting to transport her back, or her parents came, somebody had to sit with her. So I sat with her during that period of time, and my house guests went on through the tour of the museum, and they commented with the kids and that sort of stuff. They didn't join the tour, but it's an issue, and I think they were both retired teachers, by the way. And so it would have been great to have them able to assist, because I don't know if you've ever been to the MIM with 30 kids. Assistance would be helpful. So anyway, I think this would be great, and I'm all in favor of us paying for the processing the fingerprints cards and put that in the budget. And I'm sure it's, about $50? 75 now?
Mine is due up in 2024, so I'll give you I'll confirm what that price is, because I got to get my fingerprints updated. One of the things I would say that happens too is in our schools that don't have a lot of parent participation in this, where it gets murky is the field trips, because then they call in a panic because they can't go on these field trips. A lot of times our own staff here at the district become chaperones. So they leave their job for that day and they go chaperone at the schools to help so that the students get that experience. So there is a need for us to have more volunteers that have fingerprints to be able to do this. And so I think would behoove us as a district to look at ways that we can make it easier. And if we can provide the no cost to them, I think that actually incentivizes more people to do it as well.
And Madam President, Dr. Driscoll, I'd also suggest that there's probably some retired people that would be glad to do that, have the experience, and not just in the classroom supervised at the school, but to do that. And I think that would be very helpful to publicize that if we can pay for it. Thank you, Madam President, Dr.
Thank you, Mr. Lemon. Ms. Trejo?
Thank you, Madam President. I think I just wanted to also expand maybe on, because I know it can be costly, so something to consider maybe is for folks who are in need, considering the free and reduced lunch, waiver or something for fingerprint card. And one thing that I know I've talked about with fellow board members before is, we should be fingerprinted. And I'm happy to cover the cost for ourselves, but I think it's important. We have a really good board right now, but you never know, if our vendors have to be IVP fingerprint clearance card. I feel like we should be too, and maybe that's a policy that we should implement if we want to do school visits. I know it's another thing, but I think it's really important that we practice what we preach, and if we're expecting our parents to do that, I feel like that's probably something we should be doing too.
Ms. Ewers, do you have anything to add to this conversation?
Oh, do I?
I figured.
Thank you, President. So this has been something that I've been passionate about, especially as I'm talking as a mom, not just as a school board member. And Mr. McGeaney will tell you that he and I have been going back and forth on all kinds of ideas consistently. But let me tell you a couple of the hurdles that we'll have to be aware of that we haven't talked about yet. Is one, the fingerprinting time for the least expensive method takes a really long time, right? So even if you have a parent who on the first day of school signs up, does their card, we pay for it because obviously we're going to have to go with the best cost method. They may not even qualify for a field trip or two, which is a real bummer. So Mr. McGeaney has been looking into faster transaction systems, things like that. Unfortunately, to me and for the school, they don't go back far enough in years to qualify someone to be a safe person with our children. So that's one hindrance. Two, I would like to encourage that if we can, especially at opening nights or special nights at the schools, that the district office, not the school themselves, offers a table to do this. One, because the school is already running the events and the front office is already running the events. To add this to them, it's kind of, especially when I've tried to help, it's become almost impossible. Number three, that you need a notary. It's been great that at our school now, we have a notary on campus. And before I notarized when people needed them to, and I'm totally willing to do that, but it was another thing, like another schedule, another thing they had to do. So we need to, and notary is not expensive. Again, it is something that takes time and it's an application that has to be filled out. But having a notary in every single campus is very important to making this process faster. And to make a clear understanding at every school, the options, there's so many ways to get your fingerprint. I went through the fast track way, which is not cheap and is cumbersome. It also includes having to go downtown and put quarters in a machine and run back and forth while you wait in line to have your fingerprints taken. So that the process could be easier, not necessarily just by us, but the process itself is not set up to help us. So the ways that I see immediate help for us is one, that we have notaries on every single campus. Two, that we have a backup support system starting right at the beginning of the year to get as many people signed up as possible so they know that they're in line, so that first trip we don't have to like grapple and say, oh my gosh, you just did your card, we got to wait 3 months till you can do something. Oh, the school year's over, you missed another year, and it really bums the parents out. I was trying myself personally to find something that would just be a better, quicker system, and I couldn't, and I find that the safety of our kids is more important than any dollar amount and any quick turn option. So I'm adamant about continuing to talk about this because parent participation is key, and students learn so much just from the parents, much less the parents learning from the kids. So I think that having those opportunities, I want to open up and make easier, but there's definitely going to have to be more support. And I know that we didn't even have the support in the district office as much as we wanted to do this. So we've really got to find a way to carve out simple times. And it can't be like, come and get your fingerprint card between 10 and 11:30. Well, that's when all of our parents are working, right? So convenient times, make it easy on them, even though the process isn't easy. Hold their hand. There are several different forms. The forms themselves, you're like, what does that even mean? I mean, I had to call and ask like specialists and a police officer, which box do I check? There's a learning curve here, and we need to be consistent across every single campus because everyone is kind of trying to do their own way and kind of swimming upstream. And I think if we can just start looking at those things and clearing those up, and immediately makes this a better process. Thank you for letting me be on my soapbox. Thank you, Madam President.
Oh, Messieurs, we knew you've been waiting for this item, so you're welcome to have your soapbox. I have just a couple of questions. I wanted to know, first of all, have any field trips in the last year been canceled due to insufficient chaperones?
Don't know at the top of my head, but I can get back to get that information.
Okay,
And I don't
thank-
think they have, though. All right.
No, because I will call and
Yes,
get people from this building to go.
so no.
Okay. Well, and we have layers of support for reasons, right? So that makes sense. I would be in favor of us helping to subsidize the costs, but I agree with Ms. Trejo that my preference would be to go with families who qualify for free and reduced lunch. I'm a strong proponent of governing board members being fingerprinted. And I have a marketing tagline, if anybody wants to hear, for open house, maybe the ink and roll campaign. And I know I'm old, so I just have another last question. At one point, volunteers could be fingerprinted in the district, like just there, and then I think they just processed it through the state. But we're talking about fingerprint clearance cards that goes through the FBI for vetting, correct?
Yes. The IVP process. So there's like two different fingerprints, and that's what Ms. Ewers was talking about. There's different clearances. We would want the IVP one.
Which is consistent with all employees and vendors.
Certificated, yeah, and bus drivers. Yep.
Okay, so nothing to vote on at this point, just some guidance for the district to move forward, correct?
Yeah, we'll come back and bring, at a later board meeting, bring you guys options and then you guys vote to see and discuss which options you want us to pursue or not pursue and go from there.
Great, thank you, Dr. Driscoll, and thanks to the governing board for the conversation. Item 901, board members' points of information. Ooh, everybody's excited on this one. Mr. Lemon. Oh, hold on. Mr. Miller first.
Thank you, Madam President. Just because you made mention of it at our last meeting, and I see it on our upcoming events, I am officially signed up for the Love Your Heart 5K. So, everyone, if you show up, you can see me. We're on very slowly around Kiwanis Park. So, that's it.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. My husband will be joining you. Mr. Lemon.
Thank you, Madam President. Thank you, Mr. Miller. I'll officially announce I'm not going to sign up for the Heart 5K. Maybe the Heart 1K. I had a couple enjoyable events this past week. The first was at Shamley School on Saturday morning. We planted a lot of trees that have been donated. Volunteers from ASU, the Desert Botanical Garden, and I forgot the trees across America, or some group of the shade tree things, but it was very, very nice. And also put new soil and mulch in the garden boxes as well. I shoveled a lot of soil and mulch into the garden boxes. One of the issues that we found out is the irrigation, flood irrigation at Shamley has been shut off 2 weeks ago and for the winter dry up. And those trees need watering probably twice a week. And while the school's in session, there's kind of a bucket brigade to carry water to the trees. but I'm concerned about the holiday, the Christmas holiday. Who's going to do it? So, and who are we going to let inside the school to turn on the faucet to carry the buckets of water? So it is an issue, and I'm sure that with the principal, we can work this out, and with facilities management. I'll probably be in town for this Christmas so that I can help with the bucket brigade or to direct them where to carry the water. It's probably better from my end. And then today I was asked by the Center for Bio-Inspired Bioremediation Geotechnics to work with them. They're invited to Conley School to talk to the AVID kids. And so we spent several hours talking to AVID kids, 2 different periods. I think it was a total of about 4 classes that we did, and that was today. And I enjoyed it because I had promised our 5th grade teacher last year that I'd talk to her class about what I do as a geologist. And then my neighbor is also a middle school teacher in I believe in Roosevelt District, and I promised her. They're both in the summer program at CBBG. And wanted to point out to our teachers that there is a summer internship, a summer research experience for teachers. It's about 6 weeks. You go to ASU and you work with the researchers on these geotechnic subjects, and you also get a stipend. And I think it's around $6,000 for those 6 weeks. I think, I'm not sure. So it's something, and we've had a couple people go through that now. We lost one to another district, but I think it's something worthwhile, and so I'm willing to invest some time in this STEM, and that's why I was pleased to see the Honeywell program come online, because we have a lot of professionals and a lot of people in all sorts of different areas that could share with the children some different paths, whether they want to be bus drivers or other things, surveyors, geologists, I hope, engineers, all of these sorts of things. There's career-ready sorts of things, but they don't understand what the career is. They haven't seen it or experienced it. So that's where these other people come in to share that with the students in the classroom. So I think that's good. I think it's, I do it at colleges, but I think we can start doing it at middle schools as well. Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Lemon. Ms. Trejo?
Thank you, Madam President. Mr. Lemon, you brought up a good point about the water. I know the city of Tempe is dealing with some of their trees dying too, so we might need to reevaluate our irrigation schedule because it's a lot hotter this time of year than it has been in the past, but thank you for bringing that up. Just a quick personal update. I want to shout out a special guest who's here every time with me, my fiance. He will be my husband next time we come, so we're getting married next week, so.
Woohoo!
Thank you, Ms. Trejo, soon to be Mrs. Trejo. I appreciate you guys are keeping the same last name. That helps. Ms. Ewers, do you have something to add?
I do. Thank you, Madam President. One, I enjoy participating in events that talk about history so that the bad parts of history we don't allow to repeat themselves. And I was a part of an amazing moment yesterday with Councilmember Miller. We were able to participate with Ward on the Ruby Bridges Walk to School Day. And there was over 100 kids and parents there. And they walked to school and walked together, and they've had a full week or more of learning about segregation and the benefits of all of us working together, no matter where we come from or the color of our skin. And it was I was really just so proud of the district and so proud of Ward. The teachers worked so hard. The principal worked so hard. It took the entire staff to do it. And a shout out to AAA, who does a lot of sponsoring of this event, not just for our school, but around the country. They sent banners, they sent flags, they sent little backpacks and beanies, and it was a really awesome moment that that everyone truly enjoyed, including myself, and I'm grateful that they asked me to participate. And I'd also like to shout out to my friend Kim Rosenthal, who is at AAA, who personally donated a donut for every single participant, which that's a lot of donuts. So again, way to go, Ward, way to go, students, for making that important. And let's keep progressing. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Ewers. And I'm just going to add, in case it wasn't heard, I was contacted by community members in the Bustos neighborhood that the trees there need some water too. So water everywhere. And that's all I have to add. So moving on to 10:01, announcements and upcoming events. The Thanksgiving holiday will be Wednesday, November 22nd. That is Wednesday through Friday, November 24th. All schools and district offices will be closed. There will be an agenda committee meeting on Wednesday, November 29th at 11 a.m. The next regularly scheduled governing board meeting will take place on Wednesday, December 6th at 7 p.m. with a study session beginning at 5:30 p.m. here in the Karen Arredondo Governing Board Room. The ASBA 66th Annual Conference will be December 6th through 8th at the JW Marriott Desert Ridge Resort. The State of the City address will be Friday, December 8th from 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. at the Omni Tempe Hotel at ASU. The Geneva Epps Mosley Middle School ribbon cutting ceremony will be Thursday, December 14th at 10:30 a.m. with a community open house from 5:30 p.m. to 7 p.m. at Mosley Middle School. The Tempe Elementary Love Your Heart 5K, in which Mr. Miller will be participating, sponsored by TEEA, will be held Saturday, February 17th at 8 a.m. at Kiwanis Park. And with that, may I have a motion to adjourn tonight's meeting?
Before that, can we add one item for our calendar? December 9th is Festival of the Lights for the City of Tempe.
Oh, thank you. Missed that. Do you happen to have a start time at all?
4 p.m. to 9, but we're going to confirm.
Okay.
4 to 9 p.m., tentatively.
We know it's not dark at 4, right? Okay. All right. Now may I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Trejo,
Oh,
seconded
sorry,
by,
Mr.
Mr. Miller. It's okay. You talked, so all in favor of adjourning? Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned.